Warren County. Tonight, I respectfully ask you to protect what makes this place worth calling home. Please vote to recommend denial of the proposed ordinance change. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir.
My name is Aileen Dierig, and I reside in the Happy Creek District. I am from Warren County, and I have lived in the beautiful Shenandoah Valley for the majority of my life, on the lands of the Monacan, Manahoac, and Shawnee peoples who are the past, present, and future peoples of this land. It seems clearer to me now more than ever that the indigenous peoples of this land are to whom the stewardship, care, and sovereignty of the land should be returned. They undeniably have a much better understanding of how to live reciprocally and in tandem with the land, water, and living beings here. Too many see the land in our communities as a way to make a profit and refuse to see that we need these critical natural spaces and water to survive. The construction of these massive data centers alone would kill and disrupt necessary mycelium, fungal networks in our soil. A recent study mapping those global fungal networks shows that the Shenandoah Valley is one of the few remaining strongholds in this country of the global fungal network in our soil, on which we rely to grow food and our whole ecosystem relies on to survive. Then there's the chemical, light, noise, and water pollution caused by data centers that threatens our lives. And I do literally mean that these data centers are a threat to our lives. Our community is already strained by the drought, and we should focus on addressing the water crisis instead of whatever this is. Not to mention that the empty promises of profit, jobs, and tax revenue are nothing short of a scam. The only benefit in these proposals that could be seen is by the corporations who wish to exploit us. As for Rushmark's statements tonight, you can try to spin it however you like. You can try to wrap it up as pretty as you want. We do not want data centers. $2.4 million is pitiful in the face of the impact only data centers would have. I noticed how you didn't address the chemical or light pollution, and I especially noticed how you didn't ask us, the people of this community. We don't want data centers. I would also like to point out that flock cameras, which violate our rights and exist here in Warren County, are directly connected to this data center issue, and that's the next thing that we need to come together to protect our community from. Flock cameras need those data centers to operate their AI tools of mass surveillance. These data center proposals are a threat to our lives. We do not want any data centers here. They shouldn't exist anywhere, and we are saying no data centers.
Come on, got it. Hi, Rich Lancaster, Fork District. So I've lived in this town for over a decade. I'm a husband. I'm a father of 6 children. They're here tonight. They're thankfully being quiet. And we're urging you to do tonight what is right, to stand by the clear consensus of the whole community that you work for. As you know, data centers are currently not allowed. It's not an allowed use of land in Warren County. So what is being requested by Rushmark and others is a new and unprecedented change for our beautiful home. Just an aside, I think adding windows to data centers is a great improvement. Not. If that's the best they can do, I don't know what. I agree with nearly everyone in Front Royal with the concerns that you're going to hear ad nauseum tonight. Increased power demand, substantial water use in our already drought-ridden county, legitimate noise concerns, and also a fundamental change to the rural identity and character of our county. And I'll just say, we all kind of know it. The first data centers will probably be the easy to get in. They're not going to be as loud. They're not going to be as big, but it's a slippery slope, and we know that. So if anyone tells you also that there's no adverse health effects to these data centers, they're probably speaking with their wallets. That's my opinion. But most of all, this is about more than just 1 or 2 data centers. We all know that once they start, It's not gonna end, and our countryside is gonna be changed forever. So as an example, I work out of an office in Loudoun County, Data Center Alley. It is a bleak, soulless area. I don't want that for us here, and I think a lot of people who might be indifferent or be kind of open to data centers maybe haven't gone out there and seen what it's like in real life. It is kind of depressing to drive through. So today, it's a pivotal moment for you to do your jobs and to take a stand for what makes Warren County and Front Royal a great place to live and to raise a family, as I know full well. So if you allow this to happen, it can't be undone. Revenue cannot be an excuse for data centers. There are alternative ways to generate funding for the community. The people do not want it. You do not have to do this. If your recommendation is anything but a hard no to the Board of Supervisors, you will have done a disservice to the community. Thank you.
Sorry. Hi, I agree with him. That's my husband. My name is Katie Lancaster. I'm from the Fork District. I'm here today with all my children just to show you one of the many Warren County families that will be negatively impacted by these proposed data centers. My children go to school near the proposed Rockland site. I have concerns about the possible long-term health effects of having a data center nearby. As data centers are still relatively new, their impact on human health and the environment is still unfolding. But I can tell you the effects that have come to light are not good. The noise pollution, strain on energy, the draining of water resources are neither positive nor good for the communities where data centers already exist. I urge you and implore you to vote no to any and all proposed data centers in Warren County.
Thank you.
Mark Egger, Fork District. It's really unbelievable, but I'm still hearing that some officials and staff in our local governments continue to insist that localities do not have the legal right to not permit or to prohibit a use in the local zoning ordinance. The notion that since data centers are currently not permitted by right, the county will be sued and lose in court, and that therefore the best we can do is permit data centers by conditional use permit is complete nonsense. So here it is again, State Code 15.2-2280, quote, any locality may by ordinance classify the territory under its jurisdiction or any substantial portion thereof into districts of such number, shape, and size as it may deem best suited to carry out the purposes of this article, and in each district it may regulate, restrict, permit, prohibit, and determine the following: the use of land, buildings, structures, and other premises for agricultural, business, industrial, residential, floodplain, and other specific uses, end quote. I don't see how it can be more clear than that. Localities already have the power given to them by the state government to regulate land use, including prohibiting a use. Think, please. If the state had not given localities that power, then there would be no Warren County zoning ordinance, and you, the Planning Commission, would not exist. If you don't believe me, ask your attorney. Here's the question to ask him in case you don't understand. Has the state given Warren County the power to regulate land use through zoning ordinances, including prohibiting a use? I'm asking you to vote no on the proposed text amendment and forward it to the Board of Supervisors with a recommendation of denial. The Board of Supervisors should then follow the lead of the Front Royal Town Council and put into motion a new zoning text amendment that clearly defines and prohibits data centers throughout the county's jurisdiction. This is really simple. It's not rocket science, nor is it brain surgery. It's really simple. Thank you, and God bless you.
My name's Jay Whitley. I live in Happy Creek District. I'll start off with strongly urge you to please vote to recommend denial of the proposed ordinance change. I moved to Warren County for the natural beauty, clean air, peace and quiet. I sure would like to see it stay that way. I worked for Dominion Energy for 38 years and I retired and moved here. And I can tell you, they are struggling to keep up with the power demand. Um, I guess you've heard about rolling blackouts, and those happen during the hottest days of the year and the coldest days of the year. And everybody in this room would suffer from that if they had to implement rolling blackouts. The generators for the data centers, they're as big as school buses, and there's many of them, multiple generators. The noise level, I don't care how big the buffer strip is, it doesn't stop the noise from going up and out. And they run 24/7, the data centers do. The generators would be used for more than just power outages. They would be used for peak times when the power company cannot keep up with the electrical demand. Water usage, that's a concern from me as well as everybody else in this room. Please vote deny the ordinance change. Thank you.
My name is Teresa Smythe. I'm in the North River District. I was at the town meeting that was 5 hours. I sat through all of it and I listened to everything. I have come to my own conclusion that that is not something I would have wanted across the street from my house, so I want to protect my neighbors that it might be near their house. I also want to share a story. About a year ago, I had a contract on a land in Warren County, and the only thing that stopped me from buying this land with a $1 million view was because of an ordinance. The person who was trying to sell it couldn't subdivide the land because of this ordinance. And I want to share what I wanted to do on that land for a specific reason. I went to the people in Warren County and I shared this story and I said, this is why I wanted to do it. But up where the land was a pole barn and it was quite large. And one of my goals is to create community. I want it for myself. I want it for my daughter. So I had the concept of community Sundays where I wanted to have an entire long table and invite everybody because we need to be neighbors again and get to know each other again. And I was denied that opportunity literally because of one ordinance. And I had to change course and change what I was doing. I had 6 months where I was dreaming about that land and dreaming about what to build on it. And what I really wanted was a place for people to come together. Well, I was fortunate to find a house that's across the street from the soccerplex. Even better than I could have dreamed because the field is right there and people come to it. So now I have new ideas and I want kids to come and take balls and jump ropes out of my garage and play again. I want to keep this as a space where people from Northern Virginia choose to come here because it's a great place to visit. I have ideas. I have tons of ideas. I don't know what are possible and what's not, but one of my ideas is, why don't we rent out the land and everybody could have like, I don't know, a 12 by 12 space. And then we have garden watchers who like help fix the gardens. And that would bring people from Northern Virginia out here. But if we have the chance from the Loudoun County and from Gainesville, people want to get away from that. They want to come to us. So let's keep it a place that people want to come. And also, if y'all want to have like community Sundays, I'm close to the soccerplex. I'm aware that there's a fire pit by my house. Please come, because that's how we decide to talk together about what we're going to do. If we're not going to take this money in, because it's not worth it, let's be clear, our water is more valuable, our ears are more valuable, our health is more valuable. Please let us create the world that we want to create. But if these come in, I think we're going to be making very different decisions. If the data center had come across the street from my house, I would have had to sell. I would have moved. And I've done so much to land and to make this my home. So I would like to continue to have this be my home and my neighbors to continue to have their houses be their homes and their values don't go down. Think about me when you guys are making the vote. I really, really want to make a Front Royal a better community.
Thank you. Can you give me just 1 second? Just as a note to all of our speakers, could you make an effort to speak into the microphone, please? Thank you.
I don't think I've ever been told to talk softer, talk louder, ever. My name's Rebecca Bear. I live in South River. I have made Bentonville my full-time home since 2014. That was when my council term in the town of Haymarket was up. Prior to that, I was chair of the Planning Commission in Haymarket. I've been on the Board of Zoning Appeals. Currently, I work as chief of staff to the Gainesville District Supervisor in Prince William County. I worked for the late Bob Weir, and I work for the current supervisor, George Stewart. Prince William County got lucky the last 7 days. We've had 2 victories. QTS Blackstone pulled out of the Supreme Court case. The Digital Gateway is now gone. It was the largest data center campus thought of until someone said, hold my beer, and Dulles South came forward at twice the size. Last night, unanimously, 8-0, the Prince William Board of Supervisors denied initiating the CPA. I would like to thank the chairman for making it clear we were here to talk about the ZTA. Because the gentleman from Rushmark, a great salesman, mind you, got up and spoke to his rezoning. Not one word on the $1,000 ZTA he paid to bring forward. This is not a restrictive zoning text amendment. This is a billboard to the data industry that Warren County is for sale. This is not restrictive. Other jurisdictions are going to 300, 400, 500, 1,000 feet buffers. We're getting 125. Gee, that's so generous. Our grid cannot handle anymore. PJM, we are in crisis. Dominion is running line after line after line after line trying to catch up because they're about to get fined because they had to promise everyone power and now they can't deliver. They are the same grid we are. We are the Mid-Atlantic grid. There's always a trade-off. If they're going to use less water, they're going to use more power. There's no such thing as a restrictive ordinance. We are protected now. We don't allow it. So I am asking you, as someone that's been in your positions, send this forward with a recommendation of denial. This does nothing to protect Warren County.
Lisa Davis, Shenandoah District. I'm only number 9, but you'll hear repeatedly about water and electricity issues tonight. Don't ignore it because it's repeated. Take it into consideration, and it's not just inconsequential information, it's facts. Repetition means that the issue is a crucial point supporting a vote opposed to this amendment. So let's also take another recent history. Concrete example of how your decision will directly affect your community. Let's look at Loudoun County, Virginia, the county with the most data centers per capita globally. Loudoun County recently told the public school system to turn off classroom lights during the day to conserve electricity for the data centers. That's a little bit of a misaligned priority. It would be a lapse in judgment were the zoning commission to proceed with the current amendment as it was edited and written by a company with direct financial interests. Front Royal, a part of Warren County, will never be able to recover from the Abtex environmental scandal. Why amend the current county zoning text, written by a partial third party, to allow the build of data centers that have the latent capability of being the new environmentally toxic powerhouses? It is our civic and moral duty to not let the pressure of a company like Rushmark blind us to honest and thorough research on the environmental effects data centers have in the area. Part of that necessarily means not allowing amendments that would allow data centers until unbiased facts and surveys are completed on environmental factors. That takes time. This amendment will not give the county a prudential look on potential effects on the environment. Data centers cause utility rates to spike for everyday consumers. That part alone should cause you to reject approving any data center approval amendments. Warren County government serves the people, and the people cannot afford yet another increase in the cost of living. The gentleman that just spoke, representing Rushmark, did not address how their system would tax the electricity, only that generators would run when we are taxed. But that doesn't at all take into account how frequently that would be. And again, that's an environmental issue. The so-called economic development from data centers plays out very little on the local level. There is some tax revenue, but that is reduced because of tax break policies. That money is handed back to the data center industry instead of into public funds. Obvious policy before approving amendments is repealing tax breaks for these developers. Thank you for your time.
If you give me just a moment, Mr. Davis. Can I have numbers 11 through 19 line up behind Mr. Davis here?
Good evening. My name is Harry Davis. I'm at 110 Niblick Square, less than a mile away from the proposed data center sites. I came up here, I was going to have a whole different speech for you guys, but after hearing what the guys from Rushmark have talked about, I'm asking everybody, don't buy the snake oil. Because I've seen this time and time again. The money they promise, our lives, our community are worth more than over $2 million. The property, from what he was saying, was already zoned as commercial. And now they want to go into industrial. So we had already planned to have sites for warehousing and things of that sort. They say that's not lucrative enough, so they want to go into data centers. It's the common bait and switch, just like Amazon had done down in Lake Anna. They went to a closed loop system of cooling. Now all of a sudden they want to wash all their water and run it right into the lake. So time and time again, data centers, they have a sneaky way of slipping in and then want to change the rules on everybody. So I urge everybody, don't buy the snake oil. Let's keep peace and harmony in our community like it should be. Thank you.
Yeah, hi, I'm Dave Winningham. Live in the North River District. Just want to say that I have to hand it to Mr. Dan from Rushmark because I think it's pretty clear, and I'm sure he realized it when he walked in here, that he was heading into a hostile environment. That he was probably going to be the one out of all the hundreds of people that are here that was going to be, looking at the situation the way that he's looking at it. I honestly don't know, though, however, if he actually believes anything that he actually said. Okay. When you look at the examples of other areas, Loudoun County and other places, not only just in Virginia, but in other parts of the country that have data centers, and you look at those areas that have already had examples of just catastrophes in those areas, whether it be due to noise pollution, decrease in property values, higher electrical bills, higher water usage, all of that stuff, and then you start to see that there's no possible way that you can look at whatever is being proposed here with Mr. Dan from Rushmark and say, this is a great idea. And I think that I'm pretty sure that every member of the board has been on top of this issue for so long. You've seen all the examples. You've seen everything. I don't even have to spell it out for you. But I just also want to give you a personal testimony of myself. My wife and I moved our family. We lived in Hawaii for a year, moved here in 2017. And you can imagine the difference it was coming from Hawaii to Front Royal. At first, it was a kind of a shock looking around, but I have to say, since 2017 to now, I mean, we've grown to really appreciate the area, really appreciate the beauty that it offers, really appreciate. I work up in Northern Virginia, and I work up in all that crazy nonsense every day, come down here to get away. I could live up close to the city, but I choose not to. We choose not to because we want to live closer to where I don't have to live up in the nonsense up there. I see the data centers up there. I see all of what's going on and all the craziness, and I'd rather live down here where I can get away from all of that. Now, we put in data centers, and you start one, you're going to get more, obviously. I mean, I'm not sure exactly what the point was initially where, we're going to have all these restrictions. You put one in, we can restrict having more, and we all know that's not true. Okay. So we appreciate the way that we live. We appreciate it. We also want to I bought my house in 2021 where we live currently. I don't want to go home and then find out they built a data center and all of a sudden now my property values decrease, my electric bills go up, my water bills go up, not only for me, but also for my neighbors in the same subdivision, same community, and around the entire town and the entire county. So, again, I want to recommend denial of the proposed zoning ordinance change. Thank you.
I'm Patrick Patton from the Shenandoah District. I'm totally against data centers and any corporation whose major energy source is groundwater or municipal water connections. I say this because in the PowerPoint presentation titled Protecting Warren County's Groundwater, provided by Dr. Jameson, Warren County's groundwater protection ordinance allows industrial development using municipal water connections. As many residents have mentioned, this using groundwater depletes our wells and reduces the capacity of our aquifers. However, my understanding is that the other alternatives these data centers have is to use municipal water sources connection. If a data center is authorized to use municipal water connections, they will still cause Warren County residents to lose water resources. An example is the town of Front Royal's municipal water plant draws its water from three main surface water sources: the South Fork of the Shenandoah River, Happy Creek, and Sloan Creek. Allowing these businesses to use these resources will most likely result in not only our wells running dry, but residents and businesses in the entire city will be dry and on water restriction due to the wasteful use of water from these data centers. Additionally, those using city water will not only see their water bills increasing, but their electric bills as well. And I did have one other thing that's not on there. The tax revenue that he's talking about, to me, I have researched data centers that are large data centers. The amount of employment is only like 34 people that actually work in the data center, as opposed to the $2.4 million he's talking about. That 2.4 million probably includes the construction of that unit. So we got a lot of people working for construction, but all of a sudden they don't have that. I thank you very much, and I please request that you deny the use of the data center.
Doesn't go anymore, huh? My name is Stephen Pilon. I live in the Happy Creek District. My wife and I have raised our 9 children there. We've lived here for 35 years. I've worked in the county for all those years. I also have my own business that I've had here for almost 25 years now. I love my town. I'm sure you do too, and I hope we can keep it as a lovely town. An article in yesterday's Northern Virginia Daily talked about how Virginia became the data center capital of the United States and also of the world. It stated that nearly 30 years ago, it started nearly 30 years ago with AOL and others who saw the advantages of setting up near the government in DC and also the many government contractors that would be in the area. At the time, Western, Ashburn, and other areas in Loudoun County and Prince William County had ample open land that, as they put in the article, was ideal for these companies. Fast forward 30 years, the areas where the data centers have quote unquote grown are crowded, noisy, and many who live there, I'm sure, wish that the data centers had never come. Meanwhile, big companies are paying top dollar for land in desirable areas to build more and often bigger centers. I sent you all an email listing my concerns. I'm not going to go into every note that I had there. But I would like to have you think about 30 years from today and what Warren County could or will look like if we have data centers. Actually, you don't really need to. Just go out to Northern Virginia and look, and you'll see. A couple of people have mentioned that, you go out to Northern Virginia and you can't help seeing the data centers. Well, you go out to Northern Virginia and you have to look for something besides data centers. The last time I drove to Dulles Airport, I was like, holy cow, where did all these things come from? I mean, they're literally growing overnight. It's a little ridiculous. The natural beauty of our area is one of our greatest, if not our greatest asset. Data centers don't stop with data centers. All the infrastructure needed for them and the businesses that will grow up around them, if we put more and more, will be drawn like flies to honey. And what will this do to our tourist economy? We love our area being the gateway to the Skyline Drive. We may complain about leaf peepers, but we all do it in jest, mostly. But we do not want to become the gateway to AI and the data centers. When the King and Queen of England came here, they did not come because they're like, hey, can you show us where those data centers are going to be? They came because we have beautiful land, we have beautiful views, and it's something that they really love, that we love, that many people have loved for many, many years, and we hope people will be able to come and enjoy and appreciate for many years to come. Please do not sell off the beauty of our area. I know that you're not doing the money part, but your recommendation will have a direct effect on what the county board will make a decision on. As you consider the aspects, oh, sorry. All right.
Thank you, sir.
At 24 seconds. I'm gonna need more than that.
I don't want to deprive you of your full 3 minutes.
Just trying to move the meeting along, sir.
I could find more interesting ways to do that.
All right, good evening, Chairman, members of the Planning Commission. My name is Paul DeRee, South River. Tonight's decision is not about whether technology is good or bad. It is about whether this application has demonstrated that rezoning this property for a hyperscale data center is consistent with the comprehensive plan and serves the best interest of Warren County. No one is entitled to a rezoning. It is a discretionary decision that the burden of proof rests with the applicant. After reviewing this application, I do not believe that burden has been met. Rushmark repeatedly relies on assumptions that minimize impacts while maximizing benefits. For example, the estimates for electrical demand are based on the assumptions about future operations rather than commitments from identified tenants. Rushmark has not identified who will occupy these buildings or what the actual power requirements will be. If those assumptions prove inaccurate, the need for additional transmission lines, substations, and electrical infrastructure could be substantially greater than what is presented today. The same is true for water usage. The application assumes certain cooling technologies that may change depending on future tenants. Once this property is rezoned, there is no guarantee that actual water demand will remain within today's projections, placing additional pressure on local water resources. The noise analysis raises similar concerns. It relies on modeling assumptions rather than actual operating conditions. The application states that emergency generators will have noise attenuating enclosures, but it never tells this commission the most important fact: how many decibels those enclosures are expected to reduce. Without that information, there is no meaningful way to determine whether nearby residents will be adequately protected. The application also promotes optimistic tax revenue projections while offering no binding commitments regarding permanent jobs, identified end users, or long-term occupancy. We should remember that projected tax revenue is just that, a projection. Loudoun County, for example, reported an approximately $60 million shortfall in anticipated data center tax revenue because taxable equipment was installed more slowly than projected. Warren County should not make a permanent land use decision based on optimistic estimates alone. Supporters may say, and Rushmark did, it's only one data center. But we've seen how that story unfolds in neighboring counties. One approval often becomes the justification for the next. As electrical infrastructure expands, additional proposals become easier to support. This commission is not simply considering one facility, it is helping establish a precedent that could shape Warren County for decades. The promised benefits of this project are based on assumptions. The consequences are not. Approval will permanently convert rural land into industrial use, increase demands on public infrastructure, and change the character of this community for generations. Once that path is chosen, it's extraordinarily difficult to reverse. I recognize that your recommendation is advisory, but it will become an important part of the record considered by the Board of Supervisors. Because Rushmark has not demonstrated the public benefits clearly outweigh the permanent impacts, I respectfully ask you to recommend denial of the proposed ordinance. Thank you.
Oh, sorry. Karen Fall from the Happy Creek District. I've lived in Virginia since 1991, in the Happy Creek District since 2014. I've retired here after 35 plus years as a systems engineer, and the last 25 plus years with IBM. I oppose the zoning text amendment adding data centers as a use in the industrial district. This isn't a done deal. It's the deal that gets us started. Data centers aren't permitted in Warren County today. This text amendment is the door. Once we open it countywide by adding data center as approved use number 25, we cannot control what comes through it next. Every future applicant will point to this approval as precedent. The financial promise isn't binding. The applicant's own statement of justification says the county would receive roughly $2.46 million a year, but it also proposes a payment in lieu of taxes program whereby any tax exempt entity leasing the site would pay in lieu of property taxes. That's a proposal, not a legal commitment in this permit. If the tenant restructures ownership to claim tax exempt status without executing a pilot agreement, that revenue could evaporate while we're left with the buildings, the substation, and the infrastructure. And I want to be clear about the site itself. The applicant describes this land as having only average or moderate conservation value and downplays the impact. But that description conveniently comes after the property was already substantially clear-cut to prepare for development. That's not a neutral before and after comparison. It's grading your own homework after the fact. Finally, I want to be clear about what's actually being asked of you tonight. Data centers are not a permitted use in Warren County today, not by right, not by conditional use permit in any district. That's precisely why this application requires a zoning text amendment in the first place to add data center as new use for 25. You're not being asked to regulate an existing use. You're being asked to create one countywide permanently for every future applicant who follows. You have the authority to simply decline. Nothing in state law compels this commission to add data centers to the code. Leaving the ordinance as it stands today with no data center use permitted anywhere in the county is a legitimate legal outcome, and it is the one I'm asking you to choose. I'm asking the commission to reject the zoning text amendment. Thank you.
Good evening. I know. Get my good evening out of the way. My name is Joanna Moores. I'm in the Shenandoah District. Warren County states that the local planning commission's mission is to promote public health, safety, convenience, and welfare, as well as to plan for orderly development. Over the course of these public hearings, we have heard and will continue to hear about the negative environmental, resource, psychological, and physiological impacts of living near data centers. If additional information is required, I suggest reaching out to the town of Front Royal, who worked with external expert teams to gather information on the impacts of data centers, which were all negative. Circling back to the Public Commission's plan for orderly development, the county's comprehensive plan specifically states that the county will grow at a rate that supports the local economy in a manner that does not place stress on the county's services or natural resources, preserves the quality of our water, air, natural resource, and scenic landscape, maintains small town character, enhance opportunities for jobs to allow residents to live, work, and raise families in the county, and make Warren County a place of choice in Virginia. I did mention the need for jobs, and this county's analysis of basic employment emphasizes that basic employment provides a foundation for supporting industry and growth. However, a hyperscale data center hires approximately 100 people, while distribution centers off 522 employ almost 400 people at the Family Dollar and 600 people at the Ferguson. At a minimum, we suggest to the Board of Supervisors that we deny the zoning text amendments proposed by a data center to allow data centers. I urge you to please consider recommending that we unify our stance with the town of Front Royal, who stated they denied zoning text amendments that would define and permit data centers in industrial permit zones by special use permits. Further, I urge you to suggest that the Planning Commission should provide a zoning text amendment defining data centers versus technology, and prohibiting data centers from all zoning districts while establishing a temporary moratorium on data center applications due to the infrastructure, utilities, environmental, physical, and community impacts, as stated, can be proceed by Virginia Code Section 15.2-2280. And then I would just like to say I agree with the young woman who works for Prince William County that this text amendment does not protect us, and Rockland knows it. Again, please suggest we deny the zoning text amendments. Thank you for your time.
Good evening. My name is Jacob Gates. I'm from the Shenandoah District. I was gonna say half of what everybody else said, but I'm just gonna give a little story here instead. I grew up in Prince William County, and for 20 years of my life, I spent it watching the suburban sprawl, over-industrialization, and poor zoning laws strip thousands of acres of forest, pollute the Occoquan River and its reservoir, and stress the local infrastructure to failure. In those 20 years, though, I spent my summers coming out to the North Fork Resort with my family. We enjoyed the river, the forest, the mountains. For my whole life, this county and the town has been a refuge and retreat for myself and my family. The national park, main streets, foods, shops, people, the friendly community, and the beautiful rural roads were always a highlight of my growing up. As a result, when I went to buy my own house and start a family and move, this was the only place that I knew I wanted to come to. We were blessed to be able to purchase a home in Shenandoah Shores, and now I feel that blessing might just be slipping away. I chose to come here for its beauty, not its industrial zoning and data centers and spreading suburbia. Unfortunately, my family still lives in Prince William County. I've watched just in the last 5 years their property value collapse, utility bills increase for a 1,200 square foot home to unstable rates, and the Fertile Crescent of Prince William County just disappeared, replaced by acreage of concrete boxes, butted up to federal battlefields and trails. My parents have decided that they have to leave my childhood home as a result of these stresses. With data centers closing in on Warren, I feel like delayed reactions in zoning law administration, and I too feel the pressure to leave my hard-earned home and escape the incoming destruction. That said, I don't plan to leave this place. I'm not opposed to growth in any other way. I'd rather see our community thrive and become what it was for me growing up for other people. Lastly, I'd also like to point out that you have all these folks from all walks of life here tonight, most of which probably don't agree with each other on half of anything. And yet they're here side by side from multiple meetings, seeing you, other board members, and bringing it to your attention. So I would like that you would hope to vote to recommend the denial of the proposed ordinance change and listen to the community which you represent. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Renee Grebe. While I live full-time in Fairfax County, we purchased a home in Warren County and Shenandoah District because it's my happy place. Nature is healing. I'm going to feel like a temporary refugee, as someone else said at a prior meeting when I'm here. I can breathe again. I participate in organized invasive plant removals in Thompson Wildlife Management Area. I partake in our POA meetings when I can. I was street side when the king and queen were in town. And I'm here tonight to ask you to recommend denial of the zoning text amendment proposing to add data centers as a permitted conditional use permit in industrial zoning districts. For my day job, I work in conservation advocacy. I host tours of Data Center Alley. I educate the public about unregulated expansion of data centers and their impacts on communities. And in my personal capacity and time, I do the same because unregulated data center expansion is a pivotal issue of our lifetime. When we bought our house in Warren County, we worked with the woodworkers Strong Oaks in town to turn my father-in-law's oak tree into a beautiful piece of furniture for our house. They are the kind of company we want to see in the county and industrial areas. If data centers are allowed here, they will push out local companies like this. They will make industrial land values untenable for local companies while tanking land values for residents. Neighborhoods get destroyed. Data centers will be a visual scar in the area and pollute our air. And who knows what the water impacts will be. If you think Warren County can allow data centers via a cup and create guardrails to protect people, I'm here to tell you, you can't. Once you allow the camel's nose under the tent, the game is over. Just one example is that locales can't regulate polluting backup generators. Twice in the past 2 months, the Federal Department of Energy allowed PJM to allow emergency generators to run as primary power during the heat waves we had to relieve the grid from the stress of, well, a lot of data centers. Locales, states, they have no control over these incredibly polluting events. We pay, you pay, residents pay. We pay with destroyed communities, we pay with poisoned air, we pay with degraded water quality and resources. Please do not trade the public's health for county revenue. Follow in the footsteps of the town of Warrenton and Buchanan and recommend denial. And the town of Front Royal, who has a moratorium and is looking to also not allow data center use. Air quality, water supply, grid stability, impacts from new substations, impacts from high voltage lines, which impact far beyond Warren County. The list goes on, all for the profit of the world's richest companies. Who benefits from this ordinance? Who is harmed? Please make the recommendation of denial to the board. Thank you.
If you'll give me a moment, Mr. Jenkins, can I get numbers 20 through 29? And we believe that people who are reading off of their cell phones is causing interference with the microphone up at the podium. So if you are going to be reading off of your cell phone, try to keep it away from the mic, please. Thank you. Give us just a moment.
You good now?
I'm going to start you over, Mr. Jenkins.
Please, thank you. John Jenkins, South River District. The application for this data center, I reviewed a lot of the paperwork on that. There are 278 letters from the Warren County residents and neighboring counties attached to the data center text amendment. Most of those comments were in opposition to data centers due to excessive water use, noise, impact on Warren County's rural character, and a lot of negative comments about the previous planning commission meeting. I'm going to address a couple of these negative comments. One, the water will be provided and regulated by the town of Front Royal. The maximum usage to be around 3,000 gallons a day or 90,000 gallons a month. By comparison, the county jail uses 500,000 gallons a day, which amounts to about $6 million, not dollars, but gallons per year. The two schools in the county use about 570,000 gallons a month. And the city of Winchester is allowed to draw 10 million gallons from the Shenandoah River a day. And as far as the rural character of the Route 522 and the section of Rockland, where this data center is proposed to go, that vanished a long time ago. This is an industrial location in the industrial corridor. It includes industrial facilities, warehouses, distribution centers, car lots, restaurants, and hotels. This is not a residential area. So who is to be impacted by the noise? How can this location be detrimental to the rest of Warren County? Again, 278 negative comments. However, 32,000 adults live in Warren County, so 31,700 made no objection to data centers. Per this application, the owner is responsible for any improvements to the electrical grid. The building location is hidden off Route 522 and has no impact on the rural character. Water consumption is limited. Noise impact, if there is any, is to be determined. And the projected revenue is $2.4 million. Those are what's written on his application. That is something for the county in the future to consider and make sure that all that information is correct. So if you oppose data centers and are willing to accept higher taxes, that's your choice. I own a home in the county and I paid taxes for 50 years. So I support new industries and businesses coming in. No tax increases. Last year's 18% increase is only the start of higher taxes to cover the future needs for the fire department, for the sheriff's department, and every department in the county. Where's the money going to come from? out of your pocket if you cannot agree on future industries coming into the county. And if you have a solution to increase tax revenue, then step up to the mic and give them a shout. Thank you.
Hey. You don't have the floor.
Hello, good evening. My name is Janelle Rivera, and I live in the Shenandoah District. I am grateful that I get to live near the entrance to the Shenandoah National Park. I moved here from Prince William County after living there for 10 years. During that time, data centers were agreed on without much of the public being made aware of, and we all felt the effects, higher costs of electricity and water. But you've heard all this many times, and so I'm not going to go into that. I'm going to give a small historical tidbit that kind of relates to our situation. You all have to forgive me. I'm a teacher, and even in the summer, teaching keeps on happening. And if we don't learn from history, we're doomed to repeat it, and I truly mean that. In the 1920s, the United States, Radium Corporation, and many other large corporations assured its employees that their product radium was safe to use. Radium was marketed for both toothpaste and used on watch dials. The women called radium girls would dip paint into their brushes, into radium, and then put it in their mouths to be able to paint the wash dials. The women lost teeth, parts of their jaws, had miscarriages, stillbirth, and many died. What is my point? Corporations have a long history of lying, denying, hiding whatever is necessary to achieve their aims. Large corporations see the profits and not the loss to individuals, communities, and families. Please look to Prince William County, Loudoun, Henrico, and what is happening in Texas. Let us learn from the lessons they have been taught. Please vote to recommend denial of the proposed ordinance change. Thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Cheryl Bimmy and I live in Happy Creek District. I just wanted to say that you are each on the Planning Commission are our neighbors and friends and associates to everyone that's here. In the spirit of community unity, as evidenced by the vast number of people here to speak as one voice tonight, for the most part, I ask that the commissioners respect the will of the people and recommend denial of the ordinance change. Data center developers should not be allowed to write law changes in our community, and you have the duty to protect our natural resources, our beloved landscapes, tourism that are the very soul of Warren County. Thank you, and God bless you.
Hi, my name is Felicity. I'm 13 years old and I live in North River District. I'm not an expert on data centers, but I am an expert on why I love living here. And most of it is because the views and the outdoors. All of the other towns are putting data centers in and we are keeping it up. And we should not stop now. I am also very interested in government, and I know our founding fathers meant for government to work for the people. The Declaration of Independence says that when government hurts the people instead of protecting them, the people have the right to fight for change. If our local government wants to put big, ugly buildings that will drain our water supply and harm our environment and basically make our county ugly, we have the right and the responsibility to stand up and say no. You should do the same. For me and future generations growing up here, thank you.
Hi, my name is Megan Lane. I live in the North River District. For months, I've watched the people of the County of Warren and the Town of Port Royal come together in unity on this one issue, and it's been really inspiring to see. If the Warren County Board of Supervisors votes to include data centers as an allowable use for industrial zoning, I'll get one in my backyard pretty soon. As soon as we open this door, I live very close to land that will quickly be snatched up by a data center. I have countless concerns about how that will impact the health of my family, our property value, the noise and the light pollution, and general quality of life. But this conversation isn't just about preserving my view, my family's health. This is becoming a much bigger conversation and one that we have to engage in and be very cautious about how we respond. Why would we allow Rushmark, a data center developer, to write an ordinance for our county? Why are we considering this? Why would we recommend approving it to the Board of Supervisors? We don't want to let them set a standard for something that obviously a lot of people do not want here to begin with. 30% of the world's internet traffic is going through Virginia data centers. Virginia has sacrificed enough. We need to have areas of Virginia that we are preserving our natural resources, where Virginians can come to get away from the industry of Northern Virginia. That's our identity. We should be leaning into that. Luckily, in Virginia, citizens are rebelling against this abuse of power and profit that's destroying our beautiful state. Today, we have the unique opportunity to follow the lead that the town has already bravely set for us. We can align ourselves with them and be strong together. To quote the Warren County website, Warren County's long-term identity is rooted in its agriculture, natural resources, and rural character. Its land use policies are shaped by a vision where future industrial growth must complement, not redefine the existing character. So in closing, I'm asking you to please tell the Board of Supervisors that you recommend denying this proposed ordinance change. Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Laura Carbello, and I live in the Shenandoah District. I am opposed to having a data center here. I've been a resident of Warren County for 25 years. 2 years before I chose to make this my home, a friend moved down here. I made my first visit to Front Royal in 1999. I was living in New Jersey at the time. I do remember the first time I drove down 522, up and down those hills by Lake Frederick, which they straightened out since then. You practically come out of your car going down that hill. And I saw the beautiful mountains in the distance. The sun was just going down and the scene just took my breath away. I'm an artist, so I drove down a multitude of times with my easel, my paint, and canvas to paint some of the majestic scenes here. Some of those scenes no longer exist. They're filled with houses and commerce. I understand that progress is inevitable. However, our area managed to maintain the beauty to have attracted the king and queen of England. There are many reasons besides maintaining its beauty that will be mentioned here tonight and have been: the water, the noise, the pollution. But I'm here to raise the point of the importance of not losing our pristine views, clear night skies, and its pure beauty. People tend to take for granted what they have here. I remember painting a scene at the end of a road where a house was, and I talked to the owner and mentioned how lucky she was to have a scene in her backyard like that. She shrugged her shoulders and said, "I guess so." And what that made me feel is that we can become desensitized to the beauty we have here. You see it every day, so it becomes normalized. Putting a data center in Warren County will take away from its natural beauty. I'm sure I'm dating myself with this, but some people may have heard of Joni Mitchell and the lyrics of her song Yellow Taxi, written back in 1970. It plays over and over in my head. It goes like this: Don't it always go to show that you don't know what you've got till it's gone? They paved paradise and they put up a parking lot. They took all the trees and put them in a tree museum, and they charged the people $1.50 just to see them. I like Joni Mitchell's message, and I hope it resonates with you in your choice. Don't destroy our legacy. Please recommend the denial of the ordinance. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, good evening. My name is Dr. Stephanie Herrera, and I am a resident of Warren County. Thank you for your service and for the time you have devoted to reviewing this proposed zoning amendment. I respectfully ask you to recommend the denial of this amendment. I hold a doctorate in business administration and an MBA, and before all of this. I have worked in community economic development. I used to consult with energy executives across the United States. And I am here to say that I have seen what can happen across the United States and internationally. Used to be a CEO of an international organization where we worked in sustainability. So it's been interesting to see what's going on, why we moved here. We're originally from Colorado, and it's just beautiful. It reminds me of Colorado. And there's such beautiful people that live here. So it's an amazing place to live. But I also bring another perspective. I grew up in Denver, Colorado. Gloveville was a community. We were a super fun site. So I got to experience. I am a product of what happened there, health-wise and everything else. My family, we have kept records of what happens when things like this, data centers, other super fun sites happen. And then I also ran an economic development corporation there. So these experiences taught me that land use decisions are among the most important decisions a community will make, because their impacts can last and will last for generations. Tonight is not simply about one proposed data center. It is about whether Warren County should change its zoning ordinance and establish a precedent that will shape this community for decades. The applicant is asking for Warren County to change its zoning ordinance before moving forward with this project. I believe the zoning laws should reflect the long-term vision of our community, not to be rewritten to accommodate a single proposal. Leadership is not measured by every opportunity we accept. It is measured by the opportunities we have the wisdom to decline. So with that being said, I want to thank you all for your time and your service, and to make sure that you respectfully recommend the denial of the zoning amendment to preserve Warren County that the residents have chosen to call home. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Sigrid Heptax, and I've lived in Warren County for 28 years, and I love it here. So I respectfully ask members of the Planning Council to deny the amendments because of the many problems and hardships that data centers are causing all over the country. So please vote to deny the proposal of the ordinance change. Thank you.
My time started? Okay. Melanie Salins, North River District. Mr. Barnhart, a couple weeks ago after the wonderful meeting that we had, you decided to post a meme of cavemen discussing the harm that could come from teaching women to talk. Teaching women to talk, they can change the world. So for those of you who may not have heard, last week residents of Loudoun Valley Estates subdivision lost their court battle and will now lose their backyards to massive high voltage power lines to power Data Center Alley. Yesterday, Prince William County voted unanimously to reject the Dulles South innovation, and the digital gateway is officially dead. Why am I telling you these facts? Because these facts illustrate that data centers are not good neighbors. This should speak volumes to everyone. Northern Virginia has learned their lesson and no longer want data centers in their communities. So why on earth would we want to bring Northern Virginia's problems here? Every person listening to this, every member on this dais, every person watching from home needs to understand that this text amendment was written by a data center developer to benefit data centers. Every weak restriction listed in this proposed ordinance is negated by the words, limits may be relaxed. Do they think we're stupid? Do they think you're stupid? Because the sales pitch he gave was full of inaccuracies, and we don't even have the time to dispute all of them. They were so vast. This was not written to protect the citizens of our county. It was not written to better this community. It was written to enrich a data center developer, and by doing so, will endanger the entire county and every citizen of this community by threatening their water, raising their electric bill, potentially expanding power lines, destroying the tranquil character, rural charm, and view sheds of this community. Data centers are not currently permissible in Warren County. Data centers should not become permissible in Warren County. Records show that Rushmark knew this property was not allowed to be used for data centers when they bought it. They actually had to remove data centers as a possible use just to get approval to rezone the land into industrial use. They promised warehousing, and now we get this. Rushmark is going back on their word and requesting the entire county change its zoning code to accommodate them in building the one thing they promised not to build. That is not a very trustworthy move. I don't know about you, but I don't do business with people I can't trust. I ask that you recommend denial of this proposed ordinance.
If you'll give me just 1 second.
Okay.
Can I get number 30 through 39, please? Yes. Okay. We've had a recommendation from the audience that if you are interested in using your phone near the microphone, try putting it into airplane mode. We'll see. If not, we'll have a conversation when we have the break with our technical supervisor.
Yes. Hello, I am Brenna Salins. I want to start by saying that I was not told to speak tonight. I decided to on my own. I've sat through many town, county, and school board meetings since I was 7 years old. I am now 16. I'm sure some of you in the audience remember me and my brother sitting under tables doing our homework. I have seen many good things take place in our county, and I hope to see another one tonight. I have had the amazing opportunity to take an IT class for the last 2 years. Both of those years, we have gone to tour a data center. The men who gave us the tour were very generous with their time, honest in their responses, and kind. It was a very educational experience. Yes, while a cool thing to see and experience, I, like many others, do not want data centers in Warren County. Outside of the data center, there is a loud humming noise. When we got the tour, the men who worked there said that with how fast technology is advancing, that these data centers will likely no longer be in use in a decade and will be buildings just left vacant. The way these buildings are made makes it almost impossible for them to be used for anything else. Once we left the tour, my mom and I had headaches and our eyes hurt. I prefer for that to not be a normal occurrence in our everyday lives. I'm aware you hear this a lot, but Warren County cannot support both data centers and civilians properly. At the same time, and in my opinion, the civilians are more important to a county than a data center. Yes, data centers have their place, but it's not in Warren County. I spoke today because I care about the place I live, and speaking up is better than just showing up. And I highly encourage anyone who hasn't spoken to speak tonight. There's also an importance for the youth to speak up for what they believe in, especially when there's a misconception that the younger generation wants this. I care because I plan on buying and living in my childhood home with my kids one day. I have so many memories here, and I want to share those memories with my future kids, as I am sure many others want to do as well. I choose Warren County because there is truly something special here. I highly encourage people to take in the beautiful scenery. I hope you make the right decision and vote no to data centers tonight. Thank you.
Good evening. Mike Salins, North River. That was my daughter. That was my wife. All right. They speak far better than I do, so I got to read from this thing. All right. Good evening. I just want to say that I'm super thrilled to be wasting yet another evening trying to convince you all that nobody wants data centers here. I've been to a number of meetings lately regarding data centers, and I can tell you that I've yet to meet one person in favor of these data centers who is not personally profiting. I could easily spend my time explaining all the reasons why data centers are bad for this county, but it's all been said before. I'll say one thing regarding the proposed setbacks, though. from your desk to the 5th row, that is the 25-foot setback, minimum setback for commercial businesses. And then from your desk to just beyond that back wall is the proposed minimum setback for residential. Imagine having to work or live that close to one of these monstrosities. Having to hear droning noise nonstop, living in the shadow of a concrete monstrosity. Just think about what you're asking the citizens to be okay with. And ask yourself if the owner of Rushmark lives with a data center that close to his bedroom window. Dan, do you want to live that way? You expect us to. He stated that he has solutions to the water, electricity, and noise issues. I forgot what lies he was saying, but it doesn't matter. Even if they're all true, we're still going to be left with a monstrosity, an eyesore, everything that we all live here to avoid. As for his claim about these things being aesthetically pleasing, I can't even believe he would say something that ignorant. Just go to Loudoun County. It's just repulsive. I go there every day, and I can't get out of there fast enough. And it's amazing he can sit through all these people speaking against him. Like, just says a lot about greed.
Sir,
So-
don't get personal.
Oh, it's not personal. That's about corporate and that corporation. Anyway, I'm asking you guys to vote to recommend denial of the proposed ordinance change. Thank you.
My name is Michael Dorsey. I live in South Fork District. I moved out here to Front Royal about 2 years ago. Well, I guess I can start with, I grew up in Lake Jackson down in Prince William County, which all the fields I used to grow up and ride my four-wheelers in and stuff are now all data centers. The area has totally changed, which it's fine. I moved out to Remington 14 years ago. And now Remington, where I moved from running from the 3 data centers that was supposed to be, is now going to be a 5 data center park going in around Remington, which is being fought. Move out here, and now I can't even believe that we would think that I'm fighting this. When you really think about it, cell phones, everything nowadays is meant to be 2 or 3 years, and then it's gone. It's trash. So I can't imagine that the technology with the data centers is going to be the same way. Everything everybody's mentioned, the water, the electric, all of that stuff. But what we're going to be left with is probably another one of these AvTech things, or where there's a whole bunch of cobalt and crazy chemicals that are left in a building that they're supposed to clean up, or, it's easy to say no, and that's all you'd have to do. And I'm just asking you, please, to just vote no, to deny the denial of the proposal of the ordinance change. Thank you very much.
Hello, my name is Trey Stanford. I'm in Fork District. I live in the town, but I work in the county. Thank you all for your service to the community. Today is a special day for me and my lovely wife, Mary. It is our 26th wedding anniversary. But we are both here because we believe so strongly in this cause. We both beg that you vote no on the text amendment and recommend to the supervisors that data centers not be allowed under any conditions in Warren County. Whatever local tax income that we stand to gain is not worth the tremendous problems that come with data centers, many of which have been outlined. Higher electricity rates, lower property values, the horrendous thunder of up to 100 diesel engines whenever the grid is pressured in winter and summer. And plainly, we just had one of those pressures with the heat wave. And you remember the cold snap this past winter, another time when you'd have hundreds of diesel engines making noise. So let's be honest, this is really all about a question of easy money. There is no such thing as easy money. There will always be a price to pay. The impacts on local people's health and on the environment and on tourism and local businesses and so much more may be irreversible. As the uninhibited growth of data centers in high-density groups proves, they only come in large numbers. For example, Ashburn has 136 data centers. Sterling has 87, Dulles has 30, Chantilly has 19, and that's just the Dulles corridor. Then there's Richmond. They have 115. Gainesville has 15. Even Little Culpeper has 13, and they're all still growing. Give these rich companies an inch, and they will take a mile. There will never be just one property developed. I worry about any undeveloped flat space in this county. My wife and I moved here right after we were married, and we raised our family here, and have always loved Warren County. Please resist the pressure to build these data centers and instead preserve the beauty of our county. Imagine if huge fields of data centers are all anyone can see when they drive down 66 or paddle down the Shenandoah or take in the vistas from an overlook on Skyline Drive. Our county's beauty gives peace and inspiration to people from all over the state, all over the country, and all over the world. That's what we must protect. This is a place we've always been proud to call home. Please help us protect it. Thank you.
My name is Mary Stanford. I've lived in the Fork District raising our family for the last 25 years. Thank you for your service to our county and for your patience in listening to us tonight. I'd like to highlight 3 lies that have been circulating on this issue of data centers in Warren County. Perhaps you have heard them repeated. The first one is that beauty is a luxury, but not really necessary to human thriving. That the natural beauty of our locale is nice, but ultimately it's just an add-on, kind of a bonus, an extra, something worth abandoning or destroying in pursuit of efficiency or economic gain. I ask, how can something so unimportant, so unnecessary, bring together a group this big and this diverse tonight? People who transcend large political, religious, social divides tonight are standing here testifying that the beauty of this place is formative, it is restorative of tranquility and peace, and it is inspirational. It can bring us all together. And if it's that foundational, it is necessary. In fact, I think it's best said by a character from a Dostoevsky novel. Beauty will save the world. Why? Because it uplifts people and it unites people. Just look around. The second lie is related, and it is that data centers are necessary to sustain our way of life. And destroying the beauty of our county is a small price to pay for the convenience of storing important data. To that, I will respond from Aesop. Necessity is the mother of invention. If storing data is so important, if it really is necessary, then communities must challenge the tech companies to figure out another way. They're smart people because beauty, health, water, power, and silence are also necessary. The last lie being bandied about on this issue is that allowing these centers is inevitable because everybody's doing it. Every other county, every other town, we got to get in and reap the financial reward while we can. Here I urge you to consider the biblical cautionary tale of Jacob and Esau. Esau sold his birthright for a mess of pottage. He sacrificed his future because of his impatience and a desire for a small but immediate gratification. Acting with a view to the future and to those we hand on our county to requires foresight, patience, and courage. And tonight we're asking you to act with courage, to stand up against this trend and to act for the future of this county's citizens. A writer once said that we might go down in history. Never mind. We'll save that for the next one.
I'll just get rid of that real quick. My name is Michael Bellew, Fork District. So I've never been to any kind of thing like this. I thought that tonight would be a good first time. So I also didn't prepare anything. I know you guys have been getting read at for the last almost 2 hours. So I thought I would just kind of tailor it to what I've been hearing. So basically what I've gathered from all of this is that you have a big company, a big corporation that is trying to come in and modify the rules and the regulations that are in place that protect small counties, small towns such as Front Royal and Warren County, and it's for their personal gain. I don't see a ton of gain for anybody else in this room, for you guys, for myself, for anybody other than the big corporations. And this is the people that are coming in to these smaller towns, hoping to catch everybody sleeping and to make money, right? And it's all under the disguise of progress. That if you're young, if you care about technology, if you are a forward-thinking person, that you want all the data. You want the data centers. You want the next new thing. Well, I hope to think I'm still a younger person, and I'll read my little piece here. Please vote to recommend denial on the proposed ordinance change. That was the one scripted part. But basically, it is not progress in terms of something that is positive. Progress doesn't always have to be positive. There's been plenty of negative progress made in the world, in the country, anywhere else. You have to make positive progress and know that what you're doing is a, it's my watch, I think. But to know that the progress that you're making is good is basically what I'm trying to say. And to have big corporations come down here into this area and try to take advantage of the little guy is not something that I think that anybody should stand for. And I think that something that people have touched on up to this point is that people from all walks of life, political affiliations, have had the same thoughts on this, and all except for I think one person's been against it. And also, someone said something about that the whole 340 area is already ugly and that it's all downhill. So why don't we just put a data center down on Main Street then and just get rid of that? I don't think that that is a good way to look at it. I think that you need to preserve what you can and make sure you're on the right side of progress.
I'm James Contreras from the Shenandoah District, and I was at the last meeting speaking about the data center impact over by the soccerplex because my siblings play soccer over there. And the health side is very big to me. In 5 years, after AI bubble pops, everything goes downhill. What will we have? We'll have a big old metal box on the side of the highway that just poisoned our land, poisoned our water, and poisoned our air. All it will do is cause health issues and kill us. And those with the health issues, they will not be able to afford treatment for that. And oh my God. Oh, sorry. With the rising prices of everything, nobody will be able to afford the care. And how can you vote yes and look someone without looking them in the face, knowing that you're actively putting them in harm's way for money that will only be available for a few years? When instead we can make money through other means that is less destructive to everything. And I believe if any of you vote yes, you will be voted out. Especially if you don't even have the decency to look speakers when they're speaking for a majority of the time. Mr. Barnhart. I am over.
Good evening. My name is Kate Avery. I'm from the South Rivers District. 39 years ago, my husband and I decided to leave Falls Church, Fairfax, all that nonsense down there. We wanted to live in a small town. I grew up in a small town. When we got here, we moved up into Shenandoah Farms. We had deer and bobcat and lots of rabbits and squirrels, and I loved it. We have moved now into the Dungadin subdivision, and we've had bear in our driveway, sleeping on my son's car. And I mean, I love it. One of the reasons why I was talking about the bear is the other night, my son was going to work. He works in Middletown, and he saw a Fisher cat. Now, Fisher cats were exterminated in the late 1800s from Warren County, completely removed, destroyed. They're now coming back because they were reintroduced into West Virginia. If we let those critters go, what does that say about us? We could end up like that poor little robot on Wall-E and a bunch of trash. You put a AI building in this area, who's to say that we don't have an EMP attack and the whole thing shuts down? I want you to stop and think about the future of your children and your grandchildren. Do you want them to live like that? I don't. I'm not going to live that much longer anyway. But I ask you, I beg you, I implore, please vote no on that data center, because it's not worth our time, it's not worth our health, and it's not worth our children's health either. Thank you, gentlemen and ladies.
Before you get started, can I get 40 through 49?
I'm Carol Christopheradis. I live in the North River District. Data centers are not a good fit for Warren County. We've discussed the reasons why ad nauseum. The residents are in agreement and they have spoken loudly and clearly. Hundreds of people have shown up to these meetings to say no. It's pretty much unanimous that no one wants data centers in Warren County with the exception of a handful who will benefit financially. It's appalling that the data center developer has been allowed to write the proposed zoning amendment. In counties across Virginia and in counties across the country, data center developers have promised the moon and stars and then did exactly opposite of what they promised. They lie and impose fines mean nothing to them. Those living around the data centers are forced to suffer with the noise, pollution, loss of outdoor enjoyment, and health effects. The proposed zoning ordinance amendments are not appropriate for the public necessity, convenience, and general welfare, and are not good zoning practices. I strongly encourage the Planning Commission to recommend denial of the proposed amendments to the Board of Supervisors. Thank you.
Good evening. Good evening to the supervisors and all of the lovely people who came out. I want to give my personal thanks to all of the thought and all of the heart that went into everything people are saying tonight. Also
If I
intelligent.
may interrupt you, sir, we need your name and your district.
Yeah. Raymond Francis, and I'm in the 810 West 14th Street. I think it's 4th District.
Okay.
That's all right?
Thank you. Perfect.
Okay. And my grateful thanks to everyone who has shown us what we have and what we need to do to keep it. I haven't got anything else to say, but I thank God for such gifts. And of course, I greatly encourage you, don't do it.
I'm Catherine Miller, and I live in the 4th District. dear members of the Warren County Planning Commission. I was born in Virginia and I've been a Warren County resident for nearly half my life. Yesterday, I took my children to see the movie Young Washington. The message in the movie was clear. George was a patriot, but first he was a proud Virginian. As a young man, he was a land surveyor and he knew this land, the rivers, the mountains, and this very valley like the back of his hand. To know it is to love it, and so he did, so much so that when he declared the independence of our nation, he pledged his life, his fortune, and his sacred honor to protect it and defend it. To this very day, he remains honored, revered, and respected by nearly every citizen, both past and present, of our country. Today, this county stands at a crossroads. You hold the power and the responsibility in this very moment to help preserve and protect Warren County. For as long as you choose to call this beautiful place your home, you'll run into fellow residents everywhere you go who will remember you for what you've done or for what you have failed to do, for better or for worse. If you choose to be a representative for the overwhelmingly unanimous voice of this community by recommending denial of this ordinance change, you will be honored, you will be respected, and you will be forever remembered by all those standing here before you as heroes who made a decision to protect this beautiful place we all love. I am genuinely asking you today, please vote to recommend denial of the proposed ordinance change. Say no to ever allowing data centers to come to Warren County. Make this a gift you leave for our future. Make this what your name is remembered for. And make this the legacy that you leave behind. May you choose well, and may your family name be honored, respected, and revered by citizens of this great county for generations to come. Thank you.
Testing, testing. All right. Hello, everyone. I'm Michael Brill. I'm in the North River District. And I'd like to say that I moved from Chantilly, Virginia. I was in Alexandria for a while, from Stafford. I was in the military, served in the Marines, traveled all around the world. And after so many moves and so much chaos around the world that I had to deal with, we ended up moving here. And this is like my peace. Front Row is like, this is my community now. And I, get a little emotional about it because I feel like I'm actually at peace here. So also, I'm glad that everyone here, I'm so proud of you for standing up, speaking, coming here to attend, because without everyone just saying whatever they can, no matter how nervous they are or however they feel, getting those words in are so important. So thank you for being there with me and obviously being here to support you all as well. And now I'll go with the scripted part. So I strongly oppose the establishment of data centers in Front Royal and Warren County. The primary concern raised by the gentleman earlier was that Rushmark appears to have set the rules from a marketing standpoint, making certain promises that are merely marketing tactics and not actual rules. We cannot live our lives based on PowerPoint slides. And I've learned that working in the federal government for 18 years. So furthermore, also, I would like to point out that the gentleman who claimed that no one resides near the proposed sites is mistaken. If you drive around the area where the proposed data center site is, you'll find hundreds of homes situated right next to the proposed sites and thousands more within a mile's radius. First, I'd also like to make sure that we prove that the claims of the applicant are clearly identified. A lot of these are empty promises. The applicant claims that utility costs won't increase for residents like others have said. However, this isn't a guarantee. This is a PowerPoint and marketing scheme. As we're witnessing this happen nationwide, electricity costs are rising even higher, and higher rates are even the increase of rates are being affecting the residents that live specifically around these data centers. And due to the extreme heat over the last few weeks alone and the several years of continuous droughts, and like others have said, the schools and public buildings and residents have been asked to brown out their house or turn off lights, lower down or raise their ACs. And this sounds entirely different from what was being presented in the application and the draft ordinance. It doesn't address these things. They touch base on them. Another point, we don't have set firm limits on any of this. All right.
Hello, my name is Jennifer Thomas, and I'm in the Shenandoah District. I actually live in crazy Frederick, Maryland. I've been coming to my home place here in Front Royal for the last 62 years. I love my property. I love the area. I know every square foot of my property and what it's like and what it's done over the years. And I pride myself on being a wonderful caretaker. I've lived through some bad decisions made by Warren County Industries. I lived through the smells of Avtech when it was operating the rayon plant, the PCB contamination of the sediments in the river, and also the restrictions on being able to eat the fish from the river. I'm glad that those things have all gone away, mostly, as time has gone by. I am a retired groundwater hydrogeologist. I wanted to say that we know that the increasing amounts of water will be necessary to operate the data centers. Much of that water is evaporated and very little of it will be returned to the watershed. To date, a statewide assessment that was recommended for evaluating water resources related to data centers has not been done. We don't know the impact of numerous data centers on the Shenandoah River. Warren County is not the only county considering data centers in the region. Several small towns upstream of Front Royal, such as Shenandoah, Virginia, which recently approved a data center, have also been approached. If they build data centers, there will be less water for Front Royal. And we don't know the impact, the long-term impact of the number of data centers that will be drawing water. Warren County is not the, Anyway, the river water levels are reflecting substantial regional drought in the last 1 or 2 years, have been the lowest I've seen in several decades. Communities that rely on wells near the river discreetly draw water from the river and are at risk of requiring water restrictions because of shortages, even without the data centers. Data centers can impact viable water resources. Water is not something that can be manufactured. I am urging you to deny the proposed ordinance change. The representative from Rushmark in his proposal gave no concrete information on amount of water or any statistics on what they expect this property will need. And I think that it's foolish to try to make a decision without having all that information and having the information on whether the Shenandoah River will be able to provide what they need in the long term. Thank you very much.
Hello, Stephen Ross from the Happy Creek District. First of all, I just want to thank you all for being here and giving us the time to speak. I know that it takes a village to really get a message across, and the people of this community is a village. And I speak on their behalf and my late wife's behalf. My wife had a rare form of cancer, and unfortunately, she's not here with me today. But we lived in Loudoun County in Sterling, where all the data centers were. And the doctors that worked on her said that a lot of the types of cancers that she had was part of environmental impact. With that being said, you look at the situation that Rushmark's presented, and I have to say that it's nothing more than a car salesman speaking, because they create a project and then we bear the cross and have to carry that cross and the burden and the expenses and watch our community degrade because our property values go down, the views go down, and next thing you know, one data center becomes another and another until this beautiful God's country is covered in structures that only last a limited period of time. After 9 years, you can't use those buildings anymore, and then they sit vacant. And how do you clear the land? How do you clean up the pollution? A neighboring county on July 4th had to shut down one of their closed loop systems because they had contamination. And that system will be closed down for 6 months. What happens if that happens in our county? What resources do we have to protect the people? And God forbid if an event happens where there's contamination. Have we ever thought about it? Is there any data behind it? Rushmark provides information regarding all this research that they've done, yet we never saw one shred of evidence, not one document that says the EPA says this is good or this is bad, nothing. It's all been kept behind closed doors. And you know, that's unfair to the community here because I speak on their behalf as well as my late wife's behalf. And I've got to tell you, it has an environmental impact, it has a mental impact, it has a social impact, it affects everything. Why can't we take that land and use it to build a mall or a play center for kids? Put it into some good use other than a data center. There are hundreds of data centers, thousands of them in this country. Erin Brockovich talks about it. She's got a map. Why do we need one here? Why do we have to deplete our resources for something we don't need?
Hi, I'm Angela Schroeder. I live in the Shenandoah district, and I wasn't even going to stay and speak because I hate conflict and I'd rather be home, just like a lot of other people here. But I decided to stay and speak, not because it's going to be groundbreaking, but I really listened to what the applicant had to say to support his application. I don't have my phone up here. And I noticed that he led with the financial impact study because it works in his favor. What I noticed was he was missing an environmental impact study. And I think that's because it does not work in his favor. And we already know what an environmental impact study might say, that there are risks associated with bringing this type of industry here. I was not satisfied with the solutions he offered to our concerns. For example, don't worry about the power going out. We have generators. But I think he was talking about for their air conditioning and not for ours, and not for our breathing machines that people rely on. I mean, we can't afford to compromise the things that we need for people who are not part of this community and don't care about this community. And I would also urge you to consider denying this ordinance change because this community has struggled with past financial and environmental decisions that we are still recovering from. And I would not want this to be another decision that we have to recover from. I think that, people have spoken to the health impacts and statistics and biostatistics and epidemiology. They use zip codes to determine how long a person might live. And there's not enough data now to know what happens in zip codes with data centers. They don't know how it's going to impact people. But I think knowing that there could be a risk would make approval negligent. And I'm urging you to deny the proposal for the ordinance change. Thank you.
My name is Mary Fran Cherry. I'm from the Fork District. We moved here 10 and a half years ago.
This is the 10th place that I've lived, the second in Virginia. My only next move is to Maddox Funeral Home for a short stop. I love Front Royal, love Warren County, love the people. I've been to many meetings over the years. I've never spoken. I'm not a speaker. I'm a photographer. There are many more well-informed people about this issue than me. I speak through my pictures, but not tonight. I'm totally opposed to the data centers anywhere in Warren County. Please vote to recommend denial of the proposed ordinance change. Thank you.
Hello, my name's Judy Nesserod, and I want to thank you all for giving me the opportunity to come here and voice my opinion. I am not from Warren County. I am from Frederick County, and my grandchildren are the 10th generation of my heritage. And my people have been here since before 1750. And I'm sure they didn't want a database center. All of us have survived in this beautiful, beautiful state of Virginia all these years. And I want to say, for my grandchildren, please say no to these database centers, because it isn't going to enrich the land and what I consider my home in any way. It's only going to make rich people richer. Thank you for your time.
My name is Kim Herron. I live in the South River District. I live on Browntown Road. I call this God's country. I've lived here since I was 4 years old. My dad was born and raised here. I don't understand why anybody would think data centers would benefit any one of us in this room. None of us, not even you on the board. George Washington did survey my land at 16. My house dates back to the 1797. Nobody benefits from it. We don't benefit water, electric, money, jobs. If you want something out there, put something out there that benefits these people in this building and these people in this town that you represent. Please deny data centers. We do not need them. It's a joke.
Amber Martin. This amendment was not out of a county need. It was not recommended by the comprehensive plan. It was not requested by the citizens of Warren County. It was submitted by a private entity seeking to create a use that is currently not listed as a permissible use. That alone should give this commission hesitation. But more so, this is not the first time. As I've spoke about in the past meetings, in 2023, Rushmark attempted a pathway for data centers and was denied. They then requested industrial zoning while assuring that this property would not be used for data centers and that industrial development was ready to move forward. 3 years later, those promised projects have not materialized. Now they are back, asking you to change the rules once again. If the previous assurances did not come to pass, why would this company rewrite our ordinance based on new ones? An ordinance that doesn't just apply to one developer, but all data centers to follow. And truthfully, is this really the future we want for Warren County? Our current ordinance does not allow data centers. Our comprehensive plan does not call for them. And the people of this county have spoken loudly and consistently that they do not want them. I provided a petition with over 1,900 signatures of real residents that represent Warren County saying so, and still had more signing when I left. This is about who controls the future of Warren County. Tonight, you have the opportunity to help decide that. Don't allow a corporation to write the rules that benefit itself and rewrite our ordinances to solve one company's business problem. Protect our community, honor the comprehensive plan, and respect the voices of your citizens. And forward this amendment to the Board of Supervisors with a recommendation for denial. Warren County is not for sale. Our ordinances should not be written by those seeking to profit from changing them. Don't be the people who will forever be known, because it would be forever, as those that open the door. And lastly, Barnhart, after all meetings combined in the last few months, including the town, nearly 300 speakers have signed up, and out of all of them, only one has spoken in favor. I have not seen the pro data center people of however many you believe there is filling rooms. So is this enough to admit that we all represent Warren County? Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, that is the front half of the list.
Okay, it is 9:18. We will reconvene at 9:38. Takes a 20-minute break.